Good evening, Hampstead. It's my honor and privilege to call to order the annual reorganizational meeting of the Hampstead School Board for March 17th, 2021. As the executive consultant to the Hampstead School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to executive order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please know that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to also contemporaneously listen to this meeting by dialing the following phone number: 888-475-4499 or 877-853-5257. Providing public notice of necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the district website at hsdschools.net. Providing a mechanism for public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please email hmstechnology@hsdschools.net. Adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. We're going to start the meeting by roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. Melissa, will you please call the roll?
Yes, I'd like to start with Ms. Malcolm.
I'm here alone in the room. I do have other family in the house.
Mr. Smith.
I'm here alone in the room with others in the house.
Mrs. Pellegrini.
I am here alone in the room with other people in the house.
Mr. Giard.
I am here alone in the room. My family's in the house.
And executive consultant, Dr. Metzler.
I'm here in my home office and there are other members of my family in the house.
Thank you.
So I'd like to open this meeting by taking an opportunity, a personal privilege, to thank three former members. We had a former member, chair and vice chair, Karen Yasenka, served the last 6 years, served many years for this town. Prior to that, in the early 90s, we'd like to thank her for her service. We'd also like to thank member Jim Sweeney, who spent the last 4 years on this board. And we'd also like to thank the former chair and also a former vice chair, Caitlin Parnell, who also spent 4 years on this board. You know, we all want what's best for our town and for our school district. These are exciting times. We've had exciting outcomes for our elections, you know, and over the last, year or so, we can agree and we can agree to disagree. But I thank these people for their courage, and I'm going to thank two new members for also their courage for being public officials. It does take courage. Your family and the way that you get put out there on social media and those sorts of things. I just ask that Hampstead, that we continue to be a class act, that we show the kind of respect for people that have stepped up in these leadership roles for us. They do it. It's pretty much volunteer service, and it's a full-time job, as people that have served would tell you. And certainly if you've been a chair or a vice chair, the kind of commitment it takes to do a good job. So again, we're going to thank everybody in advance for just really being super supportive of the people that choose to step up and be in public office. So with that being said, we'd like to welcome back one member, Jason Giard. He's coming back. He served 1 year a year ago and has been reelected to now serve a traditional 3-year term. So I'm going to give Jason the opportunity. He also goes by Jay, if he wants to say a few words. So this would be a great time, Jay, if you want to jump in and say a few words.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to thank the community, the teachers, the staff, and the residents of town that supported me and voted for me through the election process. It was a fun run. The well wishes and the messages were greatly appreciated. Looking forward to the new position, the new role, and representing the town as best as I can. Ready to get to work.
Outstanding. Thank you, Jay, and congratulations. And our other new member, and she's new to the board, but she's not new to the Hampstead Public Schools. This person has done quite a bit on our parents groups and certainly volunteering and helping. And so we're very fortunate to have Erin Pellegrini join the board. And she'll also be serving a traditional 3-year term. So Erin, if you would, you have a few words for the community.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a minute to thank everybody who voted for me. I really appreciate every single vote, and I just really want to thank you for trusting me to be a voice for our children. I'm looking forward to an interesting and busy year, but I think it'll be great. So thanks again.
Outstanding. Thank you, Erin. And so members of the community, you'll see we have 4 members, and you know we have a 5-member board. And I believe as our new chair gets elected, he will be addressing what we're going to do with that 5th spot, that opening, if you will, for our board. But again, congratulations to those that were reelected or elected, and certainly those that continue to serve. And I look forward to a really exciting 21-22 election year. So at this time, I'd like to take this opportunity to call for nominations for chair. It does not require a second. I will ask 3 times, and if we don't get a second, I will close it and we will vote. So at this time, do we have a nomination for chair of the Hampstead School Board for the 21-22 election year?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Dave Smith as the new chair of the board for the 2020-2021 year.
Excellent. We recognize Jay Giard. He has nominated Dave Smith. Do we have any other nominations for chair for the 21-22 election year for school board chair of the Hampstead School Board? We'll ask a second time. Any nominations? And a third time. Seeing no additional nominations for chair, Melissa, will you please call the roll for Dave Smith for chair of the Hampstead School Board for the 21-22 election year?
Mr. Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dave. You are our new school board chair for the 21-22 election year. The floor is yours and time to go to work.
Yeah, thank you. I humbly appreciate that, everyone, and it will be a busy year. Before we jump into the next, I do want to just state first, thank you, but also thank you to the 3 board members that have been with us for the last year. That's been quite the turbulent year with a lot of work we've done, a lot of ups and downs, and I just want to just repeat thank you to Karen Yasenka, Jim Sweeney, and Caitlin Parnell for all the great work over the last years with everything you've done for Hampstead. We all owe you a great deal of appreciation. So with that, I'm going to follow the same suit with, we are going to be looking for nomination for vice chair. It does not need a second, but I will ask 3 times as well. So for the first time, do we have any nominations for vice chair at this time?
I guess I can do that. I would nominate Megan Malcolm.
We recognize Ms. Pellegrini nominating Megan Malcolm for vice chair. Do we have a second nomination for someone else? Asking the second time. Ask the third time. Any other nominations? All right. Melissa, would you please call the roll?
Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations, Megan Malcolm, for being vice chair for this next school year where we have a lot of work to do. So congrats.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So for the balance of this meeting, we will be going through a number of nominations, looking for recommendations. I'll start rolling these through. And the first one is for school council. I am looking for a motion for the recommendation to allow the superintendent or designee, in this case, with Dr. Metzler, to seek legal counsel when necessary with the firm most appropriate.
So moved.
All right. We've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Melissa, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right. Thank you. So for the next one is a school board clerk. I am looking for a motion for the recommendation of Melissa Post for our school board clerk.
Moved.
Second.
In a second. Thank you. All right. Melissa, please call the roll.
Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So for the next one, we are looking for a volunteer from the school board members to act as it's a volunteer position for the New Hampshire School Board Association delegate. This role, this person would serve as a delegate to the School Board Association meeting that usually happens at least once a year and fills in the board on any of the, let's say, information that's being shared at that association meeting. So if there's any questions from any of the new board members, I think Megan, you had served this last year, if I remember correct.
I did. Yes.
If you want to give any information about what it was that you had done and what anybody would expect from that.
Sure. So actually, I had a lot of technology problems. So it was a lot of listening, and different boards came to the meeting with proposed in support or proposed amendments to the for the board to consider. So I actually wouldn't mind doing it again if nobody else wants to volunteer. I know maybe Erin would be interested, but I didn't have the experience that I was expecting to, so I'd like to give it another go around. But I'm not going to fight anyone for it.
All right. Does anybody want to fight Megan for it? All right. I accept your volunteer position. I guess I don't know if Melissa, do we need to motion for this, or is this just a volunteer spot and she gets it because she asked for it?
Yeah, you don't need to do a motion for that.
Okay, thank you. I know I appreciate that, Megan. I know this coming year, there's a lot in front of the House that the School Board Association is looking to either assist with and or to voice our opposition. So appreciate all the help there and insight back to the board. All right. So I'm going to move on to Assistant Treasurer. I'm going to be looking for a recommendation to appoint Deb Highfield as our Assistant Treasurer.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right. So Melissa, if you wouldn't mind calling again.
Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right. Let's see. The next one is for a truant officer. Looking for a recommendation to appoint Officer Scott Randall for a truant officer. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
And looking for a second.
Second that.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. And Melissa, you can call the roll.
Mr. Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. The next one is, let me make sure I get this, is the bonding of the school district officer. I'm looking for a recommendation to bond the treasurer and assistant treasurer as required by statute in the Department of Revenue Administration regulations.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Megan. All right, Melissa, another round, please.
Mr. Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries.
thank you. Next one is for the designation of the bank depository chair, and looking for a recommendation to appoint TD Bank as the district bank. If I get a motion there.
So moved.
All right. and
Second.
Second. Thank you, Jason. All right, Melissa?
Mr. Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Melissa, I will need your help on the next one for the annual policies and procedures. I know we're reviewing 3 policies or procedures. Do we need a motion on those as well? Or is that just that we've reviewed them?
It's just that you review them every year and you have discussion. If you need to talk about any changes to those policies, then you might want to do a motion at that point, but it's just recommended by legal that you just review them every year and acknowledge it.
Okay. I'm going to give a minute for the board members just to review if they have not yet. They are in your packets. I know I've reviewed. I'm good with them the way that they are, but I want to give just a minute here for everybody to take a look over those. And this is investment policy DFA, risk management policy EI, and the procedure for controls over expenditure of funds.
I've reviewed those. I'm good with that.
Megan, I see you nodded your head. And Jay, I've seen you nod your head with thumbs up, so we are good there. So thank you very much. All right, so the next one is about regular meetings. I am looking for a recommendation to hold school board meetings on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of each month at 7 p.m. At the Hampstead Town Hall, as presented in the 2021-2022 proposed meeting schedule. So I'm looking for a recommendation here.
I'll move. So moved.
Okay, I get a second.
Second.
All right. Before we take a vote, I would like a brief discussion on this. Going forward, starting with our April 13th meeting, we will be meeting live in person again. And we are working with Dr. Metzler and Mr. Flynn to allow those to be live streamed. We would not be having a Zoom calling any longer. Those would be live streamed at that time. Any discussion, I know that each member we've discussed, but I want to make sure I give the opportunity of anything else in addition to that. All right, Melissa, would you mind calling the roll?
Mr. Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. The next one is signing of the ethics statement. Also included is policy BCA. This requires the boards to sign the ethics statement on an annual basis. Melissa will issue the board members the statement via electronically, and we will sign with our digital signature. I'm assuming, Melissa, you'll send that out with a copy here. You want us just to return that?
So when I send it out through the PandaDoc system, the electronic signing, I get copies automatically returned to me. So you don't even have to do anything to return it to me. I'll get it automatically. All you need to do is just sign it, and I'll put that in the instructions to the board so they understand that.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Melissa. All right, and so this concludes our reorg meeting. We will be moving directly into the special school board meeting, but I'm looking for a motion to adjourn our reorg meeting.
So moved.
All right, you get a second?
Second.
All right, just a quick discussion. Just want to say thank you, everybody. I think this is a strong board, and there'll be more discussion in a moment about a 5th member, and just really looking forward to this year, getting a lot of good work done. So if Melissa, would you mind calling the roll?
Yes. Mr. Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes. All right. So moving into all right. So Melissa, with us, do we need to read off the entire, statement again, or are we okay since we're rolling right into the next meeting?
Well, I might defer to Dr. Metzler. It is 2 separate meetings technically, even though we're on the same Zoom link.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say we're covered.
Okay.
All right. So I guess we'll start right off then. And Melissa, if you can call the roll.
Sure. Jason Giard,
Yes.
Megan Malcolm,
Here?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
let's start over. Jason Giard,
Here.
Megan Malcolm,
Here.
Erin Pellegrini,
Here.
David Smith.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. All right. So for the agenda tonight, the current business is the very first item that we're going to speak to is the vacancy for the school board. So we do have a policy. We do have an RSA. So in accordance with policy BBBC, we are looking to designate a board member to fill a vacancy, and that per RSA 671:33 would be until the next town election, which is just under a year from now. So our policy states that the board will fill the vacancy. It doesn't state how we will do it. In discussions with the board members prior to this meeting, what we will be looking to do is look for letters of interest from anyone in the public that lives in Hampstead, that is the requirement, who would like to serve on the board for the next just under 1 year. We will be looking for the letters of interest to be sent to all board members by end of day, March 23rd. At that time, board members will review and select the top 3 applicants or those that have submitted the letters of interest. And then we will call a special meeting where in public, we will ask those potential board members questions for us and for the public to hear, at which point we will, the 4 board members will have discussion and select the person who we feel is the best suited to be part of the board for the next year. And that is what our process will be for selecting this next board member. Our goal is to have that 5th board member sworn in and participating on our April 13th board meeting. I don't think we need a vote for that, Melissa, as I think that's consensus, or should we have a vote?
You do not need a vote for that. Consensus is just fine.
Okay, perfect. So as long as everybody still agrees to what I've said, if there's anything I missed based on our just individual discussions, please speak now about that. Yep. All right. So looking forward to anybody who's going to be submitting a letter of interest. Again, please email all 4 board members. You can find it on our website. And if you have any questions, by all means, you can reach out to any one of the board members. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Metzler, and I know Mr. Flynn will be participating to give an update on the 2020-21 Safe Learning Update.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. You know, this is a really exciting time. It's trying to put together, where we were, where we are, and where we're going, and have it make any sense of it, where everyone's got bits and pieces of everything. I'll do my best. But it is an exciting time. And first and foremost, we put a strategic plan in place, and I'm not going to take you down. We're looking forward, not back. But what's important to mention is vaccinations were very important to us, and we had hoped there'd be a more aggressive plan. And then, the governor spoke and gave us an opportunity to get involved in a closed pod. Many districts still are not in closed pods. We just, again, I have to thank Dr. Powers and Pinkerton Academy. They partnered with us right away. that window to get a closed pod was really, really quick, and only a few places did. We're so lucky we got our first vaccination shots on Sunday. Our second vaccinations will be on April 11th, which is a Sunday. I think it's almost 28 days exactly following the first shot, and everyone will be fully vaccinated. I tell you that because the last time we met, vaccinations were still a big question mark. And so you remember we talked about a safe learning plan. So a lot has happened. A lot has happened. You were sent a survey, and that was before we had confirmation about the vaccination plan. And the survey asked you, would you send your child back to school with double masks and 3 feet when possible? Now, a lot of you shared how you felt about double masks, and believe me, I share it the same. So 2 masks, 3 masks, 5 masks, 10 masks, 1 mask. I'm pleased to tell you that the double mask is universally been discarded. So we're at 1 mask no matter what we do. So that's a good thing for everyone, I think. We're also working closely to get that social distancing piece to 3 to 6 feet when possible. I believe we're there. And I have to tell you that that's the vaccination. So that really makes a difference with how people feel about a safe learning plan. So, we have a memorandum of understanding, which you hear, and you hear MOU all the time. Well, what we are really close, really, really close, it's just about done, a side letter of agreement, and that's with our unions, which I'm excited to tell you that phase 3, we will be ready to return. The board's going to have a brief discussion on this, but we're going to be ready to return in full. And you'll be getting, as soon as the board says okay, this evening, a survey asking you, will you be willing to send your child back to school following the second vaccination of our staff? It's the week of April 12th. We need some recovery time after the shot because the research tells us that people may have some symptoms 24 to 48 hours after. So we're looking at a couple of remote days that Wednesday, April 14th. So that survey will be coming out, and that letter of agreement will be signed, and we'll be back in full as soon as we possibly can. So we're really excited about that. I know Mike Flynn has some something to add to this. So Mike, if you want to jump in and anything that I may have missed, please. But before you jump in, I guess I missed the part I was to say. So that survey that I sent out, I just want people to try to understand. I would never ask you if you want something that we can't give you yet. So at the time, that was probably, and I don't even know if we could have delivered that. That was the best. So I know people wanted options, but we were limited with what we could offer. So the next survey coming out, it's going to read basically what I just said. Now, on the back end of that, and I apologize, Mike, I know I'm going on, is, okay, what if I don't want to send, what's my remote cohort? If I want to stay home, what's that going to look like? We need to build that with whatever resources we have remaining after we take care of the greater good here. So that's, meaning we got to take care of all the people back in person. The survey that came back, about 85%, 80 to 85% of the people were willing to come back. 2 masks, 3 feet when possible. This will be 1 mask, 3 to 6 feet when possible. A double vaccination. So in the event that we have that cohort that's a traditional homeschoolers, and then the people that choose to be remote, we want to build a model to give you the best model we can build. Obviously, some live instruction. We'll see what we can do. We want to do the best for all the kids, but please keep in mind we need to build the big model first, and then see what we have for resources to build the other model. So, Mike, if you want to jump in and say a few words, that'd be great.
Yeah, just a couple of things. One, I just want to again thank both the board and the memberships. It really is a partnership that's been throughout this entire year. It's been challenging on everyone. I don't think that's a secret to anybody, but the work that we've been able to do and prepare for April is, I'm really proud of both the administration and the teachers with their input. The second part to the survey tonight, the importance of it coming out tonight is to get initial data. Initial data will help us with several early actions that we have to do. I'm not going to go into too many details, but that initial data will help us Thursday and Friday to do some work that we need to do. What will happen next week, you'll get a more detailed, I'll call student choice survey from building administration. That'll dive a little bit deeper down. So tonight, the importance really is a quick hit to allow us, again, plan on some of the bigger things. And then you'll see more detailed again. But last, I just have to echo it again. It's been a up and down year, but I think having a light at the end of the tunnel is good news for everybody. And I think it's the partnership between both the board and the membership. So I just wanted to take a minute to say thanks.
So Dave, I think at this point, this would be a good point to give us perhaps, there's a motion with a directive to execute letter of agreement, put plans in place. However we want to word that, but it really is phase 3 as on April 14th.
Can I make a comment? I'm not sure if this is where I do this or if we have a discussion or anything. But I just wanted to, I know that this is going to take some additional planning, and I just wanted to find out if we would be getting updates and if we could get those maybe weekly so that we could sort of keep people in the loop. My feeling is that with this, which I'm really happy about, by the way, with this information coming out, it's going to be a really big catalyst for parents to try to start planning to get back to work. So I think it's going to be important to try to give them as much information as we can, as soon as we can, so we can get plans in place. And I also just want to make sure that whatever we're doing is really thought through, because we want to make sure that we can get into school and stay in school and not have it be chaotic. So and I know that these are things that you guys have to work out, busing and, traffic in hallways and all those things, but I just wanted to make sure I put that out there.
Yeah, Dave, if I could respond to that.
Please.
Yeah, no, Aaron, that's well said. One of the things is, we have the goal of April 14th, and there's so many details that go into, as you know. We've been very fortunate. I think, you've seen a lot of districts in and out, grades closed, schools closed. We've been pretty consistent, and our transitions have been minimal. And we plan on doing that. See, the first step here, if we went this in a real logical order, survey will go out tonight, we'll have real numbers, right? So let's just, for argument's sake, let's say 90% want to come back, and then we have 10%. Now we know what we need to build, right? Then we would go to staffing, the next piece to it. As we get that letter of agreement, we'd start to build. That plan has really moved along quickly because our union leadership has been great working with the membership. What's the impact on membership? Membership is really excited about having the vaccination, the post-vaccination return, because they've always wanted to return. Vaccination was really important. So they know they have that, and now the model will get built. We should have that model built. And I thought it was going to take a lot longer to get the letter of agreement. We could have that as soon as, the next day or two. But we'll build that model. Now, the other part of that model is what can we do for the remote crowd? Are we talking room and Zoom? Are we talking some asynchronous? Are we talking synchronous? That's a promise we can't make right away, because we really have to take a look at what we have for resources. And then we drill down even further and we get into busing and all those other things. But I can say with 100% accuracy, based on the conversations that we have, that we'll be able to return and stay in the event that, obviously that we don't have an outbreak or any kind of clusters or anything like that. But I think the other thing is people need to know we won't pivot. If we ever had to pivot, we wouldn't pivot back to phase 2. We'd have to go back to all remote to get straightened out and back. But, we'll also have some opportunities to be outside, and, we're looking at potential bringing back some tents and different things. So, those are details will come out from the individual buildings. I don't want to, it's not a one size fits all. The central school has some more flexibility in terms of what they can do remotely than the middle school. And so, we're trying to look at how we can build that. And then, and what staff, we're doing this in a non-judgmental way with a real, with patience and understanding. We realize that some people, even with the double vaccination, might struggle. And so they may be part of our remote staff, which is great. That helps us with that. I think one of the other benefits is also, I think as we've learned, our remote platform is much better. It'll get better. It's something we'll be able to rely on. Our traditional homeschoolers now have additional resources that they haven't in the past. We want to be really deliberate with our message. We don't want to send out mixed messages one after another, like, the next message, changing the previous message. So we want to be very clear. But I think this is moving along quickly. So for confidence in terms of people, I think they should be planning on returning to work if they're home, because of our children are home for that week of April 12th, specifically April 14th, giving people that 24 to 48 hours to recover from the second shot. But I think that's everything. And like I said, it's, there's a lot of moving parts to this. And I think some of the things that we'll be able to do will be conditional upon the data that we're able to retrieve. That's why we wanted to get on that tonight. I asked Dave, I wanted to send the survey out a couple days ago, but we needed to have this meeting first. So, because we'd come to some understanding prior to meeting this evening, so which is good. So I think that's everything, Dave. Unless I'm missing anything, Mike, if I'm missing anything, I just this is really trying to collect all these thoughts at once.
No, I think you're good there, Dr. Metzler. I think the key points are, survey out tonight. There'll be some communication, another survey next week when we have a little bit more detail. And then we're looking forward to, probably every week or so, hearing more about, any type of tightening of the plan with communication to the community, the parents, as we get more into April.
Excellent.
If I
Yeah,
could
no,
just-
we have, we're confident. We're confident that this will be really clear for people. They'll, it's a return to the new normal, really. And so staff is excited. I know, in talking to the union leadership, impact on membership. The membership has really pivoted, because they feel with that vaccination, that second shot, they're going to be more safe. And I think all the other pieces that we put in place will be helpful as well. But the second survey, just so people know, the first survey is really just we're just doing kind of a rake and sort to see what the percentages are. The second survey will come out. That'll be central school, middle school, be more building specific from the leadership in the building as they build out their model. And then we'll have a comprehensive plan. I think we'll look for somewhere on our website so people can look exactly what the plan looks like, because we won't, we'll have it for you obviously on April 13th, but as soon as we get that, we're hoping to have it as early as April 2nd, that Friday, so that people can see what the plan looks like.
I wanted to jump in to say that you'll see it from the building level. So if your students at central school, you'll see central school. If your students at middle, or if you're at both, that way people aren't receiving, well, what's going on here, what's going on there. So those communications will come directly from Dillard and Maria, or Lynn or Tara Lynn, whoever's pressing send. But that's where that information will come out. And Dr. Metzler's right. We have that week of April 2nd of targeting the specific details and to make sure that we can confirm we're on pace and ready to roll for that week.
Yeah, and the final piece of this, I want the public to hear, we're ready when you're ready. So understand, what you select, you're not locked in, right? So if you're not ready right away and you want to, we'll accept students back at the pace. Obviously we'd like everybody to be ready for April 14th. We'll build the model based on what the percentages are. But if you change your mind, and vice versa, we're going to be flexible, right, Mike? We got that kind of flexibility for folks. Because I think some people may be slightly apprehensive initially, and then they might say, wow, it's safe and it's going well, after they talk to their neighbors or their children's friends. And that back to school, back to the new normal will happen a little bit more quickly. And I know, I know everybody's excited about this, so it's good stuff.
Yep. So agreed. I think it's great for the flexibility and choice. So I think those are two key terms there for everybody. As far as a motion, Dr. Metzler, I'm going to go after this and let's see if this covers it. I'd like to, I'm seeking a motion to allow Dr. Metzler and Mr. Flynn to create a safe return plan for April 14th that includes moving on the letter of agreement to modify the MOU.
That works. Perfect.
So
Second.
All right. So Melissa, would you mind calling the roll?
Mr. Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right. Great news and just great work with everybody from the unions, the community, to staff, administration. Thank you. All right. We're going to turn this over to Mr. Dowd, who is going to speak on a different topic of SAU 55 plans. As just to recap so everybody understands, as of July 1st, we Hampstead are our own SAU, as Timberlane community, the 4 towns of Timberlane had voted a year ago to form their own SAU. So with this means that we need to find our own SAU offices. We have talked about this in the past about if there's room at one of the schools. We've also talked about if there was a possibility of adding on to that with a vote to build it out at one of the sites. For the short term, at least, we are not looking to build additional on-premise or to find room, because there is no room, as we know, on-premise. So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Dowd to give us an update on where we are heading with the SAU 55 plans.
Thank you, David. And we're on track with our SAU setup planning. Some of the more recent developments, obviously, we have a number of concerns when we're going off and setting up our own SAU. Among them are the systems that we use, processes that we have in place, as well as workflows and location. I think you've hit on the location very well. We're on track with that. We've identified a couple different spaces here in town, both ADA compatible. And the question that I had was, is it going to fit into the new SAU structure as well as the leadership and management style? And I think that one space in particular will work really well. The space is a little bit bigger than what I had anticipated needing due to the office and just general layout. Those are build outs that are already in place, very expensive to undo or try and retrofit what our specific needs are. I think it's going to be fine. It'll work fine. So that's a big step for us. Looking for an occupancy between May and June in order to be able to get the office set up and be ready to roll for July 1st, which is the first day of the official SAU, Hampstead School District, single district SAU. So we're in good shape there. I will bring that to the board's attention, and I don't know if you need a motion to authorize me to begin negotiations on that space. If you'd care to make that motion or just simply offer direction, I'm open to that. I think you're on mute, Dave.
There we go. Yep. Let's go ahead and get a motion just so that it is there. I think that that would make sense.
Mhm.
So I'm looking for a motion to allow Jeff Dowd to begin negotiations for an SAU 55 rental space.
So moved.
There you go. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
All right, Melissa, if you wouldn't mind.
Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
All right. Looking forward to the next update on that, Mr. Dowd.
Mhm.
All right.
If I
yes.
could,
Yeah, of course.
just on the new SAU, I think it's probably a good time, just briefly, to talk about, at least I could talk about where we are in the transition. Had the opportunity to meet with the new superintendent, Bob Thompson, and he's been great. We've shared quite a bit. We'll continue to share as the new leadership team gets built. We have some positions to create and some people to recruit, but I think I just want to put people's minds at ease that that's all happening. I think those responsibilities will get delineated, and the organizational chart and all the work, I think, is great. So that's on pace as well, and I think that's happening simultaneously. So one thing's about space, the other thing's about the people and the responsibilities, and making sure that that all the services are covered and that everything is getting done in a nice, smooth way in terms of transition. So that is taking place, and so we will continue to work hard on that. And I think we obviously have some other challenges that we're working on too with the construction project, which will also be part of a transition. And it's all good news for Hampstead, in terms of a nice fresh start with a new SAU, which we should all be excited about. So good for the town. It's good for the district. So that's where all that is. So I appreciate you giving me the chance to kind of update everyone with SAU planning. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dr. Metzler. Actually, it's going to cover some of that, so that's a good lead in into the other business, old business. I'm going to go around. I know I've got a couple updates I want to bring, but I want to go around to see first. I'm just going to look on the screen here. I'm going to go left to right with Aaron. Any business that you would like to bring up that we have not discussed to date?
No.
Okay. Megan?
I don't have anything.
All right. JGR?
No, I'm okay for tonight.
All right. So I'll bring up a couple of things. First, as Dr. Metzler was talking about, we did announce, and you saw the communication, the new superintendent, Bob Thompson. We definitely look forward to Mr. Thompson joining us on July 1st. He's already, as Dr. Metzler said, has already begun discussing a lot with a lot of different people and staff in the community, in the schools. I would like to, in a future meeting, I'll work with Mr. Thompson of having him join this meeting and give a good introduction to the community. Tonight, we wanted to focus on the safe learning plan and the vacancies and reorg, but I would expect that the next meeting, we work with Mr. Thompson to actually be part of this board meeting and have a few points of discussion. Other business that I'd like to bring up as well is, as everybody knows, there was the town vote on March 9th. I would like to just speak to a few of the results besides the two esteemed board members who have joined us with Aaron and Jay. We did have two other large votes, one of which was the addition bond, which needed a supermajority or 60% to pass. The vote was 1205 yes, 957 no. We did need 1,297 in order to pass it. So we fell short by about 92 votes. So I look forward to working with us as the board and the community, the staff, on what we will do next year for that. So it's a very short number that we missed out on. So I appreciate all the work that a lot of different people in the community, the staff, administration, et cetera, did. So thank you there. The operating budget did pass 1452 to 664. And even one that we'll have a little bit more discussion on right now, which is really exciting to announce. And as everybody knows, the 60th Wing project did pass. We only needed a 50% plus one. It passed 1,447 votes to 712 votes. We did have a meeting today, which I'd like to just talk to a little bit, where I was present. Mrs. Malcolm was there, Dr. Metzler and Mr. Dowd, as well as a few other members with Mr. Collins, Mr. Mackey were there representing Hampstead, and we met with Trident, BPS, and Dennis Myers Architects on beginning that thought process of what it's going to take in that planning period. And we've now got through the planning. We're getting into the design phase. And I'd say the biggest piece that I took from that was there is a lot of work to do in the next 9 months. As they are looking to, they've already started some of the work now. They are looking to finish this, again, right now, as they're planning it out in the design by the time the kids come back from Christmas vacation. We are talking about how to phase that through with the internal construction done in the summer, and then anything on the exterior would be done as the kids return. We are looking right now in discussions of how much time they would need internal to be working inside the school, about what that looks like for when we would be going into summer break, as well as looking at when we come back in September. The good news is Labor Day is a little bit later this year on September 6th. So we're going to look at that kind of time frame of when do we come back to give the construction team enough time to do the work they need to help with the HVAC system, clean air, as we all want for our children and our staff. There's a lot more work that'll be done. There will be a building committee that will begin working every week with BPS and Trident and Dennis Myers Architects. That starts this week, so every week going forward, and we will be looking to that building committee to report out to the board at the board meetings of what's going on, what that schedule looks like, and any risk opportunities there are. We are finalizing who's on that building committee. It will be leadership from the central school along with Mr. Dowd, but we'll announce that at our April 13th meeting as well. I'd like to give this opportunity to Megan, Dr. Metzler, or Mr. Dowd to anything I may have missed or anything you think that is important to highlight even more than I did.
No, I think, it's a comprehensive list of things, and obviously, it's hard to, when you're trying to organize and collect them all, but I think that was good. I think people just should make sure they tune in. We talked, right, about spots on the website to keep people posted and up to date with a lot of different things going on. We have our COVID site, and obviously we'll have our back to school stuff, and we'll have our HCS construction stuff. So it's all good. It's all good. And I think, I think you've said it a million times, it takes the whole town. This is going to take the whole town. And I know we might be asking for some small sacrifices, but think of the greater good. The 60s wing is going to be renovated, and we've wanted that for the better part of a decade plus. Just people keep that in mind as we think about when the school year ends and begins, and some of the things we're going to need to do to make this work. So we'll be in great shape. But that's all I have. I don't know, Jeff, if you had anything.
No, I think that was well stated. Well stated. We do have a bit of a daunting task to try and make sure that that work gets in, at least the interior work during the off period to prevent any disruption, if possible, to the learning environments. But I'm very, very optimistic. I'm optimistic from a learning environments perspective, and I'm also very optimistic and very happy from a taxpayer perspective, because there is a lot of energy that's being wasted in that space, and that's going to provide a great value, I think, for our town as a whole. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. So,
Megan, anything else?
No, I'll say the meeting we had earlier, it was, the energy was great. Everyone's really excited to move forward with this. Everyone's motivated, and it sounds like there's going to be a lot of collaboration between the various stakeholders. So really, really excited.
Yep, agreed. Great energy, momentum, and the right team in front of this. I can't say that enough. I think that they're going to deliver something that, the town just, I think they're going to overwhelm this and give us a great product that we can speak accolades to, and really builds momentum into next year and whatever the board chooses for the addition. So I know Aaron and Jay, you had not heard this before. We just got out of the meeting earlier. Any questions for us from that meeting, or just in general about the 60s wing? I want to make sure to give you opportunity to ask anything or say anything.
I don't have any questions. I'm really happy that that's passed and that it's going to be fixed.
Yep. Likewise.
I just want to make sure that we're somewhat planning a contingency plan, I guess. Just some sort of backup plan that in case what we're trying to complete during the summer isn't completed, that this doesn't impact our staff and our students, our kids, as much as it could. I just want to make sure that we are at least thinking that far out. I know the team that we have is great and they deliver ahead of schedule. But if we have at least a backup plan in place, that would be reassuring.
Yeah, I'll say that I'll ask the building committee to speak to that on the 13th. That was part of our discussion today. There were some things that were, tossed around about, we're talking about 8 classrooms. So if there's something we need to do for a small period of time, we can look to see what that would be, and they'll start to, think about that and plan it out accordingly. The first thing they wanted to do was have Keith McVeigh from BPS really talk about what the length of time he needs. And then that works into the architects doing their plan of when they'll give drawings, etc. And then they'll look at that against the calendar to say, what does that look like for our kids, and where do we have to put the energy? Is it more towards the June timeframe, more energy there, or is it more energy towards that August, September, and what would we have for that contingency? So yes, that'll be something we'll definitely be asking to have an update on 13th.
Dave, if I could I?
Yeah, of course.
Add to that? Yeah, when we talk about calendar, so we'll be bringing a calendar for the board's approval, and part of that discussion today was if we could have that information prior to April 13th, 2 things could happen. One is we could be really clear about what next year's calendar could look like. We could also be clear about what the end of the school year looks like. And you talked about 8 classrooms, which is the other part about that, and working out with the DOE. It's been a crazy calendar year. And so there are a lot of waivers, but we meet the hours anyway in terms of instruction based on the Department of Education's criteria. So we'll be in good shape. But I think families can plan on knowing exactly when school will end and what the start of school will look like. I think as early as April, right? When you say, Dave, I mean, at April 13th meeting, we should be pretty locked in with what we need to do, whether we need to get them in the building earlier or whether they're going to need a little bit of time up to and a little bit past Labor Day. Not much past Labor Day. We're talking just a few days. And that also speaks to the governor would like all schools to start after Labor Day. We traditionally start before, so we're working on that as we speak as well. The final piece, Dave, I have I think people will be interested in this, the exit poll. We have an exit poll on the survey already, right? So numbers are coming in. We have almost 200 responses already, and we're in the 90% of people looking to come back full. So that's good news. It's good news because people feel safe, and it's good news because it will help us build for that remote population with what I think we'll be able to build some live instruction in there if these numbers hold, which I hope they do. So that's good.
Yep. No, that's great. So thank you. Thanks for that quick update on that. So it's good to hear. At this point, I'm going to be looking for a motion to enter non-public meeting under 91A3I legal and 91-A3 B. So I'm looking for a motion for that.
So moved.
All right, and a second.
Second that.
All right, Melissa, would you mind taking the roll?
Mr. Giard,
Yes.
Ms. Malcolm,
Yes.
Mrs. Pellegrini,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries at 7:57.
All right, and that concludes our meeting. We will not be coming back. There will be no action taken during that and no vote taken during that meeting for the board members. So again, thank you all for a great first meeting of the year and looking forward to many more good ones like this. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
All right, bye everybody.